This is the setup for the Eaglesoft Citation X, doing a precision landing in Denver. I'll be leaving KMSP, runway 12 right, landing runway 17 left in Denver at KDEN. So we'll see how this setup works, and hopefully this will be of some help to people. So the first thing I'm going to do is hit Shift 4. First thing I'm going to do is get it out of pause. Then I'm going to hit Shift 3. Need to turn on the pitot heaters. Turn that off. Hit Shift 4. And now we have our FMS system, flight management system. Clear, load, clear. You have to do them for both. Then go down here and do the test. That'll prevent about a 5-minute takeoff preparation. So next thing you do is go up to your flight plan, and what I am doing is using this through Microsoft Flight Simulator. I've set up a flight plan already. Do the performance initiation, go through here, check the fuel, next, departure 12 right, activate. I'm not going to do SIDS. Go through your active flight plan. Takeoff, wind I'm going to set as 0 degrees, 0 miles an hour. You should listen to the ATIS so that you know what the exact wind and direction is for that. Here's your takeoff data. Cruise, I'll go through this, and I'm going to go to the runway landing. I'm going to come in on 17 left. I choose to do an ILS. I'm not going to do approach. I'm going to activate it here, and so that's pretty much set up. Now I know from looking at the ILS information plate that the localizer frequency is 110.15. So go here, and I can do this a lot simpler. 110.75. I like to set the nav radio check with a squelch COM1 and double check it over here. Now you usually don't do this, you wait till you get to your ATC vectors, but I wanted to show you how you can set this up for a precision landing. So we've got our radio set, we've got everything set up here for our takeoff. I'm going to close this window. I'm going to scroll down here, and then we set our source FMS1, FMS2, click FMS, and those of you who are familiar with Eaglesoft know that you have to set this up for the heading. Then scroll down here, or move down here, and it's a lot easier to do the Shift 4 again to see the heading and altitude selector. I'm going to just set the altitude initially here. It's 7650, so I use the altitude selector and go up to 7650 for the initial takeoff. The heading that I want to fly, the way I have it set up here, looks like I need to change my heading bug, and I'm going to be going in the opposite direction. So you can see we're moving our heading bug down to 301. So you can see the heading is 301 and the heading here is 301. Alright, so we've got that set. Once again, I'm going to shift that away, move this down. For takeoff, I'm going to use our takeoff speeds, do it automatically, and then click this so I return and I can be able to use my appropriate directions on my multifunction display. Over here, it's important that you get your flaps, got our flaps down to 15 for takeoff, and then the stabilizer here, you want to make sure that you're in the green area, and the green, the lever turns green as well. So I think we're pretty much set. Here we have our altitude, we have our takeoff speeds, that we got our flaps down, pitot heater, everything I believe is set. So we're going to release the brakes and we're going to take off. Now, if everything is fine, we'll use a little bit of right rudder, just a little bit. Have a little bit of hard time doing this. 80 knots. Should get V1 and rotate pretty soon. Rotate. Gear up. And then I do flaps, slats retract. Okay, now an easy way to do this is just hit your autopilot, FLC, and it'll start heading towards your heading. And I'm going to speed this up in a few minutes, few seconds actually, twice the speed, so we save some time here. One of the things you need to watch is that when you speed it up initially, you can see what happens is our speed drops to 140, and that's right on the verge of stall, so you have to be very careful if you're going to try to speed things up. You can see how things are coming nicely here. And your CDI gives you an idea of where you are. Now I'm going to pull this up here, and I'm going to move our heading a little bit so that our CDI begins to line up. And at the same time, I need to start moving the altitude selector up, because if you notice, my speed as I flatten out here is really beginning to take off, which is what you would expect. Now, I'm going to pause it because it's going far too fast for me. I'm going to go to Shift 4, I'm going to put that back, and then if you go back up here and hit FLC, now you should be to the point where the plane is beginning to ascend again. So I'm going to take it off, pause, see it starts to go up, but FLC, going to hear a notice as we're exceeding. There we go. Now it's best to keep our altitude going up. And if you can, move your heading over a little bit. You want that CDI here to line up, and when it lines up, if you hit nav and these CDIs lined up, it'll lock in, and now we're on autopilot the rest of the way. Going to continue with our altitude. We're going to go up to a flight level of 43,000 feet, so just keep doing that. You'll see we'll hit our first waypoint, Wyzetta, and we're going to start our transition now towards Denver. Altitude's a little high. I'm going to cut that back to 43,000 feet. Flight plan, I like to go over here to progress. 590 miles to Denver. Top of climb, 27 minutes. Top of descent, 135. So one of the things you can do, and I often do now, is increase the simulation rate, keeping an eye on this, because when it hits here, you probably will be over speeding. You can see we're rising here to 43,000 feet. I'm going to look at our multifunction display. You can see top of climb is there. This is our 100-mile. And we're getting a warning here, vibration. So we need to move from takeoff to climb. So I pulled the throttle back. Now we're back in climb. You can set your caution back. You can see we're approaching our top of climb. We have our lateral navigation. Okay, so altitude select at 43,000 feet, and you can see it's set there. Now watch, here comes the speed, because we're now flying level and we're also going 8 times. I'm setting at climb here. I'm going to pull this back to cruise. Throttle's back, and I know from experience that this settles in around 252. Now, one of the things I need to do is go back and hit Shift 4. I need to get my radio set up. I'll double check that. 110.15, not 75, so I need to correct that. 110.15. Good thing I double checked that. The other thing I want to do is set the heading for approach at 173 degrees. Right now you can see over here we're 239. I want to set our heading at 173 for the approach into runway 17 left. So 173 degrees, localizer 110.15. Now that we've got that set, go back up here, set the vertical nav, and then what you want to do is Shift 4 again, and you want to bring your altitude selector, you want to bring your altitude down to the runway level, which for Denver is 5434. Some people set it a little bit above or below. I'll set it at 5,400 feet. You can see we're at 2,300 now. So you need to do this so that when you hit the top of descent and it drops into its descent, which is about 100 miles out, that you're all set, that it will automatically drop to the altitude you want. I already see that I've exceeded that, so I'm going to go back to 5,200. Alright, so we're 23 minutes to the top of descent, 186 miles, but since we're going 8 times the normal speed of the simulator, we're moving quite quickly. You can see our gross weight. We can use this in landing. I'm going to hide this for a minute. Flaps are up. This is all set. VNav, and now we just wait. You can see, I like to go down here and check again, as I said, on our multi-function display where we are in our transition. Sometimes when you're going really fast at 8 times, it doesn't do real well making these transitions. This looks like it'll do fine. Even at 16 times it works. It doesn't work any faster than that. Now would be the time you would be calling, at some point you would be calling in to see what's the appropriate runway, get some early information. I just want to show you how to set up for a precision approach. So I think we're all set here. I'm going to speed it up even a little bit more. You can see you get kind of a bounce when you're going 16 times the normal speed. Our flight planner here shows that we're 3 minutes from top of descent, so I'm going to slow it down. I like to do that just so you're not going too fast. There's our top of descent indicator. VTA pops on and this needle will drop, and as soon as it drops the plane will start its descent, and you have to go back on the throttle, otherwise you'll speed right through it and you'll get your warnings. So now we're on a descent, the beginning of our descent into Denver. If you go over and you look at your progress, you can see we're 96 miles to Denver. If you look at our flight plan, you can see how we're coming in. Looks like at Irene at 3,000 feet. I'm sorry, Irene at 7,000 feet is when we will be approaching our final approach, and that's when we begin our precision approach. So we're on our descent in now. See our descent going down about 1,000 feet per minute. Check again to see where we are. Pretty soon now, if we've got things set up right, we should begin to hear the signal from Denver, the ILS localizer signal. If we don't get that, that's not a good thing. Always a little bit nervous about this at this point. Double check everything. Nav 1, 110, 15. 110, 15. There it is. Okay. I don't know if you can hear that, but we're 22 miles away. We're coming in. So what I'm going to do is pretty soon slow this down. About now I'm going to slow it down to twice normal. Continue in on our descent. You can see the runway over there. Okay, we'll be making a left turn here shortly, and then continue our descent on down. You can see our speed has dropped down to about 170 knots. Okay. All right. You can continue on down. You can see here at Irene, it's our final approach if you look at the ILS plates, and that's where I'm going to switch to the precision approach and make some fairly quick changes. So you can see we're heading in now. I'm going to slow this from twice the speed to normal. And now is when I hit nav, alt, approach. And if we're lucky, there we go. Our glide slope is connected. We got a localizer set. And now the plane should be following a glide slope in. It's time to drop our gears. Probably a little late on that. Gonna watch our speed here. Slats extend. Slaps 5. You can see here again we're on our localizer with our glide slope. Let's be careful here. A little low. 160. 500 feet. I'm going to go to flaps 15. And I'm going to hit flaps 30. I'm going to go up here and turn the autopilot off. Pull up a little bit. Gears down. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. 6 lights. There we go. Precision approach.